She stood at the counter, uniform crisp, eyes forward. The airport agent barely looked up. Just another soldier passing through, just another day at the terminal. But the box she carried, wrapped in careful hands, held against her chest. That box held something the agent couldn't see, couldn't understand. Not yet. The agent smiled, a quick practice smile. "What's in the box, hun?" Sergeant Maya Reeves didn't answer right away. She adjusted her grip, felt the weight settle against her ribs. 23 pounds. She knew the exact weight. Had carried it across 2 countries, 3 airports, through security lines and waiting areas where people rushed past with coffee cups and carry-ons, complaining about delays, about missed connections, about things that didn't matter. "Military transport," she said quietly. The agent's smile widened. She leaned forward, lowered her voice like they were sharing a secret. "What is it? Some kind of award? Medal or something?" Maya felt something tighten in her chest. A muscle near her heart that hadn't relaxed in 4 days. 4 days since the explosion. 4 days since she'd knelt in the sand, hands shaking, trying to breathe through the smoke and dust, and the realization that some people don't make it home walking. "Something like that," Maya said. The agent laughed, actually laughed. A bright, tinkling sound that echoed in the terminal. "Must be pretty important if you're hand-carrying it. Most people just check their bags." Maya looked at her then. Really looked. Saw the name tag, Jennifer, and the small pin shaped like an airplane, and the nails painted coral pink, and the life behind those eyes that had never held a friend's dog tags while medics worked in vain, had never felt the particular silence that follows a flatline tone. "It's important," Maya said. But Jennifer was already typing, already processing, already moving on to the next question. "Gonna need to check it anyway. Regulations. Can't have boxes that size in the cabin. It's not going in cargo." "Sorry, hun, but..." "It's not going in cargo." Something in Maya's voice shifted, dropped lower, harder, the voice she used when giving orders, when there was no room for discussion, when lives depended on absolute clarity. Jennifer's fingers paused on the keyboard. She looked up, really looked this time, and maybe she saw something in Maya's face. The way her jaw was set, the way her eyes had gone somewhere else, somewhere Jennifer had never been and would never go. "What's in the box?" Maya set it down gently on the counter, so gently, like it might break, like it held something more fragile than glass, more precious than gold. "Private First Class Emma Chen," Maya said. 22 years old, daughter of immigrants, first in her family to serve. She wanted to be a teacher when she got out. History. She loved history, used to tell us stories about ancient battles while we prepped gear, made us laugh. The terminal noise seemed to fade. The announcements, the rolling suitcases, the crying baby 3 gates over, all of it dimmed. Jennifer stared at the box. "She saved 6 lives 4 days ago," Maya continued. Her voice steady now, practiced. She'd said these words before, would say them again, to Emma's parents, to her little brother, to the high school where she'd volunteered tutoring kids who struggled with dates and names and events that seemed so distant, so irrelevant. There was an IED. She saw it first, shouted the warning, pushed 2 of us clear. The blast threw her 15 feet. Jennifer's hand moved to her mouth. "We tried," Maya said. "Medic worked on her for 20 minutes, but sometimes..." She stopped, swallowed. "Sometimes you can't fix everything." The silence stretched. Around them the airport continued. People rushed past, focused on their own journeys, their own deadlines, their own small emergencies. A man argued with another agent about an upgrade. A woman scrolled through her phone, laughing at something. Life, normal and oblivious, rolled forward. "I'm sorry," Jennifer whispered. I didn't know." Maya picked up the box again, held it close. "No one ever does." She'd been warned about this. Before leaving base, her commanding officer had pulled her aside. Colonel Sarah Parks, 20-year veteran, mother of 3, eyes that had seen too many flag-draped coffins. "They won't understand," Parks had said. Civilians, they'll see the uniform and thank you for your service, but they won't see asterisk this asterisk. She gestured to the transfer papers, the sealed box, the weight of bringing someone home. They can't. You'll need to be patient. Maya hadn't felt patient when Jennifer laughed, hadn't felt understanding or gracious or any of the things they taught in sensitivity training. She'd felt rage, pure and sudden and sharp as the shrapnel that had torn through Emma's vest. But now, watching Jennifer's face crumble, watching realization settle like ash, Maya felt something else, something worse than anger. Pity. Because Jennifer would go home tonight and maybe tell her husband or her roommate or her cat about the soldier at the airport. And maybe she'd cry a little. And maybe she'd feel bad. But tomorrow she'd come back to work and process bags and ask the same questions because how could she know? How could anyone know what they were looking at when grief came wrapped in regulation, sealed and labeled and carried through security? There's a protocol, Maya said softly. For fallen soldiers, they call it dignified transfer. I accompany her home, stay with her the whole way. She doesn't go in cargo, doesn't get lost, doesn't get delayed. Jennifer nodded, wiped her eyes. Her hands shook as she processed the paperwork differently now. Special codes, priority handling, the things that should have been done from the start. Gate 12, she said, first-class cabin aisle, I'll make sure they know. Maya thanked her and walked away, Emma's remains held carefully against her chest, each step measured, deliberate. She'd walked 4 miles like this already, through 2 airports, past security checkpoints where guards straightened, saluted, waved her through without questions, past families reuniting, lovers embracing, business travelers complaining about Wi-Fi. She'd walked and carried and felt the weight of it, not just the physical pounds but the responsibility, the promise, the oath she'd sworn when she'd knelt beside Emma in the sand and said, I've got you, you're coming home, I promise. At gate 12, passengers were boarding, first class first, then groups, then the masses filing past. Maya waited, she always waited, last to board. That was protocol too, respect, reverence, the acknowledgement that this passenger was different. A flight attendant approached. Young guy, maybe 25, smile bright and rehearsed. Welcome aboard, can I help you with? He stopped, saw the box, saw Maya's face, saw the way she held it. Dignified transfer, she said simply. His smile faded, he nodded. Yes, ma'am, we have a seat reserved, row 1, window, would you like? I'll need 2 seats, one for her. Of course, absolutely. He stepped back, gestured for her to board first. As she passed, he straightened, brought his hand to his heart, a small gesture, but it meant something. The cabin was full, passengers settling in, stowing bags, arguing over armrests, already requesting drinks. Maya moved down the aisle and felt their eyes, saw them notice the uniform first, then the box, then the careful way she moved. Someone started to clap. Maya felt her stomach drop. Please no. Please not that. Not the applause. Not the performance of gratitude that made her feel like a display, like a symbol instead of a person carrying her friend home. But it was just one person. One man, middle-aged, veteran maybe, judging by the cap he wore. He stood, brought his hand to his heart like the flight attendant had done, didn't clap, didn't speak, just stood there in respect while she passed. Others noticed. The cabin quieted. People stopped talking, stopped laughing, stopped complaining about legroom. They just watched as Maya made her way to row 1 and carefully, so carefully, placed Emma in the window seat. She strapped the box in, used the seat belt, made sure it was secure. Then she sat beside her and stared straight ahead. The flight attendant came by with a blanket. In case you want to, he didn't finish, didn't need to. Maya draped the blanket over the box, over Emma. It felt right, felt like something a friend would do, like the times they'd bunked in the same tent and Emma had stolen all the covers and Maya had woken up freezing and they'd laughed about it over breakfast MREs. The plane pushed back from the gate, safety demonstration, engine roar, Liftoff. The world tilted and fell away, and Maya closed her eyes and thought about the last conversation she'd had with Emma. 3 days before the explosion. Night patrol. They'd been walking point, scanning for threats, when Emma had asked out of nowhere, "You ever think about what happens after?" "After what?" Maya had asked. "After all this, the deployments, the missions, when we go home for good." Maya had shrugged, eyes on the horizon. "Haven't thought that far ahead." "I have," Emma had said. "I'm gonna teach. High school, make history interesting, make it matter." She'd paused, kicked at a rock. "Think kids will care about what we did here?" "If you're teaching them, they will." Emma had smiled at that. "You gonna come visit my classroom, do a whole real soldier talk?" "Only if you promise not to make me wear dress blues." "Deal." They'd laughed, quiet laughs in the dark. The kind of moment that felt normal, felt safe, felt like maybe they'd both make it home and have boring, beautiful futures filled with classrooms and lesson plans and students who complained about homework. Maya opened her eyes. The cabin was dark now, most passengers asleep or watching screens. She looked at the box beside her, at the blanket covering it, at the window beyond showing nothing but clouds and sky. "I'm taking you to your parents," she whispered. "They're waiting, your brother too. He wants to wear your dog tags to school. Your mom wants to plant a tree, a cherry blossom. She said you always loved cherry blossoms." The box didn't answer. Of course it didn't, but Maya kept talking anyway because that's what you did. You talked to them. You kept them company. You didn't let them travel alone. "They're gonna have a service, full military honors, flag presentation, 21-gun salute, all of it." Her voice cracked. She cleared her throat, pushed forward. "I'm gonna tell them about you, about how you made us laugh, about how you were braver than any of us, about how you saved lives." She paused, breathed, felt tears building but didn't let them fall. "Not yet, not here. I'm gonna tell them you wanted to teach, that you had plans, that you were more than—" She gestured helplessly at the box. "More than this." The plane hummed. The engines droned. Somewhere behind her a baby cried, someone coughed. Normal sounds, normal life. But nothing felt normal anymore. Maya had escorted fallen soldiers before, twice. Once a sergeant who'd been hit by sniper fire. Once a specialist who died in a vehicle rollover. Both times had been hard. Both times she'd felt the weight of responsibility, the honor of the task, the grief of loss. But Emma was different. Emma had been her friend, her roommate, the person who'd covered her shifts when Maya was sick, who'd listened when Maya called home and found out her dad was in the hospital, who'd shared care packages from home and never asked for anything back. Emma had been the first to volunteer for the dangerous assignments, the last to complain about the heat, the sand, the endless waiting. She'd been quick with a joke, slow to anger, and absolutely fearless when it mattered. And now she was ash and memory, sealed in a box, strapped into a plane seat, going home in pieces. Maya felt the anger return. Not at Jennifer, not at the flight attendant or the passengers or anyone specific. Just anger at the randomness of it, the cosmic unfairness. The fact that Emma had done everything right, had been smart, careful, trained, and still ended up dead at 22 because an insurgent buried explosives in a road, and timing, just timing, put her in the wrong place at the wrong moment. She wanted to scream, wanted to punch something, wanted to demand answers from a universe that didn't give them. Instead, she sat still, breathed slowly, counted seconds like they'd taught her in stress management training, focused on what she could control. The transfer, the delivery, the promise. She would get Emma home, would stand beside her family, would salute when they folded the flag, would hold it together until it was done, until Emma was laid to rest with honor and dignity and all the ceremony a grateful nation could provide. And then, only then, would Maya let herself break. The flight attendant came by with water, set it down gently. "Anything you need, ma'am, anything at all." "I'm fine," Maya said. "Thank you." He hesitated. "I'm sorry for your loss." Maya nodded, heard the words. They meant nothing and everything. Just sounds people made when they didn't know what else to say. When sorry was the only word that fit, even though it didn't fix anything, didn't change anything, didn't bring anyone back. She was a good person, Maya said suddenly. Needed to say it. Needed someone to know. Emma, private first-class Chen, she was good, kind, funny, smart. The flight attendant smiled sadly. "I'm sure she was." "No," Maya looked at him. "She was asterisk, that's not just. That's not just something you say, she really was." "I believe you." "Good, remember that, her name. Emma Chen, remember it." "I will," he said, and maybe he meant it. Maybe he'd go home and tell someone. Maybe Emma's name would live a little longer in the world. Maybe that mattered. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe names and memories faded like everything else. Maybe 20 years from now, no one would remember the young soldier who'd wanted to teach history, who'd loved cherry blossoms, who died saving her friends. But Maya would remember. She'd carry Emma's name like she carried this box, carefully, honorably, for as long as she had breath. The plane continued its journey through the night sky, and Maya sat vigil beside her fallen friend, keeping watch, keeping faith, keeping the promise she'd made in the sand. "I've got you, you're coming home." The landing was smooth. Too smooth. Maya had wanted turbulence, wanted something to mark this as different, as significant. But the wheels touched down gentle as a whisper, and the plane taxied to the gate like any other flight on any other day. Passengers stirred. Phones came out. Seatbelts clicked open. The usual rush to stand to grab bags to get off first began. The captain's voice came over the intercom, deep, steady, different from the casual announcements during flight. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We have a special passenger on board today. We're conducting a dignified transfer of a fallen service member. Please show your respect by remaining in your seats until the transfer is complete." The cabin stilled. Everyone who'd been standing sat back down. Phones were lowered. The fidgeting stopped. Maya unbuckled her seatbelt. Then Emma's. She lifted the box with both hands, stood slowly. The flight attendant was there, standing at attention, hand over his heart. She walked down the aisle. Every passenger was watching now. Some had tears on their faces. Others sat rigid, hands pressed to their chests. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, held a small American flag. Her mother must have given it to her. The girl waved it slowly as Maya passed. Outside the plane, she could see them waiting. An honor guard. 6 soldiers in dress uniform, crisp lines, white gloves. They stood at attention on the tarmac facing the aircraft door. Maya descended the stairs, each step deliberate. The honor guard saluted as she approached. She returned it, then carefully, reverently, transferred Emma's remains to them. The ranking officer, a staff sergeant with ribbons covering his chest, looked at Maya. "We'll take it from here, Sergeant. You did good. She's home." Maya wanted to say something, wanted to explain that Emma hated being called it, that she was a person, that reducing her to pronouns felt wrong, but she understood. This was the military. This was protocol. This was how they honored the fallen, with precision, with ceremony, with the dignity of structure. "Her name is Emma Chen," Maya said instead. "She wanted to teach history." The staff sergeant nodded. "Emma Chen," he repeated, "we'll remember." The honor guard moved in synchronized steps toward a waiting vehicle. American flag draped over it. They placed Emma inside with precision that came from practice, from doing this too many times. Maya watched until the vehicle drove away, watched until she couldn't see it anymore. Then she stood alone on the tarmac, still at attention, hands still raised in salute. An airport worker approached hesitantly, different from Jennifer. Older man, gray hair. He waited until Maya lowered her hand before speaking. "There's a family waiting inside," he said gently. "The Chens, they wanted to meet you." Maya's chest tightened. She wasn't ready, hadn't prepared what to say. How do you face parents and tell them their daughter is dead? How do you explain that you survived and she didn't? But this wasn't about being ready. This was about duty, about promise, about showing up when it mattered most. "Lead the way," she said. The airport worker took her through a private entrance, away from crowds, through corridors marked staff only and authorized personnel. They ended up in a small room, quiet, carpeted, chairs arranged in a circle like a support group. The Chens were there. She recognized them from photos Emma had shown her. Mr. Chen, thin and tall, wearing a suit that looked brand new. Mrs. Chen, smaller, gripping a tissue. And a boy, teenage years, Emma's brother David, wearing his sister's dog tags around his neck. They all stood when Maya entered. For a moment, no one spoke. They just looked at each other across the impossible distance of grief. Then Mrs. Chen moved, crossed the room in 3 quick steps and wrapped her arms around Maya. She was shorter, had to stand on her toes, but she held on tight and Maya felt her shake with sobs. "Thank you," Mrs. Chen whispered. "Thank you for bringing her home." Maya's training failed her then. The composure cracked. The professional distance shattered. She hugged Mrs. Chen back and felt tears finally fall. "I'm sorry," Maya said. "I'm so sorry I couldn't save her." "No," Mrs. Chen pulled back, held Maya's face in both hands. Her eyes were red but fierce. "Emma saved you. She saved others. That's who she was. That's what she chose." Mr. Chen approached. He didn't hug, just placed a hand on Maya's shoulder, squeezed once. His jaw was tight, eyes bright with unshed tears. "Tell us," he said. "Please, tell us about her last days." So Maya did. She sat with them in that quiet room and told them everything. About Emma's laugh, about her terrible singing voice, about how she'd organized a book club on base and made everyone read the things they carried. About how she'd learned to say, "I love you," in 6 different languages so she could tell each soldier in their native tongue. She told them about the morning of the explosion. How Emma had been excited because mail call had brought a letter from David. How she'd read it 3 times over breakfast, smiling at something he'd written about his basketball team. She told them about the patrol, about Emma walking point, about her voice shouting IED, about the push that sent Maya sprawling to safety, about the blast. She didn't tell them everything, didn't tell them about the blood, about the medic's frantic hands, about the moment Emma's eyes had found hers and Maya had seen the understanding there, the knowledge that this was it, this was the end. Some things you kept, some things were yours to carry. David spoke for the first time, his voice cracked with adolescence and grief. Did it hurt? Maya looked at this boy who'd lost his big sister. This kid who was now the oldest child, who'd have to watch his parents grieve, who'd grow up with an empty chair at the dinner table. "No," she lied, clean and absolute. "It was very fast, she didn't suffer." Mr. Chen's hand tightened on her shoulder. He knew. Of course he knew. But he nodded, accepting the mercy of the lie for his son's sake. They talked for an hour, then 2. The airport worker brought coffee, brought tissues, quietly kept the world away so they could grieve in private. Mrs. Chen showed Maya pictures on her phone. Emma as a little girl missing front teeth. Emma at graduation, cap crooked. Emma in her first uniform looking young and proud and so alive. "She wanted to make us proud," Mrs. Chen said. "Always, from the time she was small." "She did," Maya said. "She was the best of us." David pulled something from his pocket. A letter, folded and refolded so many times the creases were wearing thin. "She sent this last month," he said. "Told me about you. Said you were her hero. Said you taught her how to be brave." Maya took the letter with shaking hands. Saw Emma's handwriting. Careful loops and precise lines. Read words meant for a brother's eyes that somehow applied to her now. Maya doesn't think she's brave, but she is. She leads from the front, takes the hard assignments, never asks anyone to do something she wouldn't do herself. "If I can be half the soldier she is, I'll have done something right." Maya folded the letter, handed it back. She was wrong. I learned bravery from her. They sat in silence then, the kind of silence that held weight, that acknowledged what couldn't be said, what couldn't be fixed. Finally, Mr. Chen stood. We should go. The funeral home is expecting. He couldn't finish. Maya stood too. I'll be at the service if that's okay. I'd like to be there. We'd be honored, Mrs. Chen said. They exchanged phone numbers, made plans, talked about logistics and timing and all the practical things that had to happen when someone died, when you had to organize grief into schedules and ceremonies and official paperwork. At the door, David turned back. Sergeant Reeves. Maya, please. Maya, he squared his shoulders, looked older than his years. I'm gonna join up when I'm old enough, follow her. Maya felt her heart drop, wanted to tell him no, wanted to warn him about the cost, about carrying boxes through airports, about promising parents you'll bring their children home. But she saw his face, saw Emma in the set of his jaw, the determination in his eyes. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, she said. Not for revenge, not for grief, but because you believe in something like she did. David nodded. She believed in protecting people, in standing up, in doing the hard thing. He paused. I believe in that too. Then you'll make a good soldier. After they left, Maya stood alone in the quiet room. The airport worker came back. Need anything? He asked. A minute, Maya said. He left, closed the door softly behind him. Maya sat back down, put her head in her hands, let herself feel it all, the exhaustion, the grief, the bone-deep weariness that came from holding yourself together when everything inside wanted to shatter. She'd done it, kept the promise, brought Emma home, faced the family, said the right things. But the cost, God, the cost. She thought about David's words, about joining up, about following his sister into war, and she wondered if that's how it worked. If each generation watched the one before them sacrifice and thought, yes, this is noble, this is right, I'll do it too. Was that courage, or just an endless cycle of grief creating more grief? She didn't know, didn't have answers, just questions that kept her up at night and would probably never stop. Her phone buzzed, text from Colonel Parks. You did good, Reeves, take 3 days, see the counselor, that's an order. Maya typed back, yes, ma'am. But she knew she wouldn't. Knew she'd show up for the funeral, for the flag presentation, for the moment they'd lower Emma into the ground and fire 21 rounds into the sky and play taps while Mrs. Chen collapsed and Mr. Chen held her up and David stood rigid and dry-eyed because he was trying to be strong. She'd be there for all of it because that's what you did. You showed up, you carried the weight, you honored the fallen. Even when it broke you. The funeral was Thursday, 3 days that felt like 3 years. Maya spent them in a hotel room, staring at walls, trying not to think, trying not to see Emma's face every time she closed her eyes. The counselor called twice. Maya didn't answer. She knew what they'd say, that she needed to process, to talk through it, to acknowledge her feelings. But what feelings? Grief, guilt, rage at the unfairness. All of it churned together in a storm she couldn't name, couldn't understand, couldn't control. On Wednesday night, she ironed her dress uniform, checked every crease, every button, polished her boots until they reflected light. Emma would have laughed at her precision, would have said, it's just a uniform, Maya, you don't have to make it perfect. But yes, she did, because perfection was control, and control was all she had left. Thursday morning arrived cold and gray, appropriate weather for a funeral. Maya dressed slowly, carefully, each movement deliberate. This wasn't just a uniform. This was armor. This was the skin she wore when she needed to be Sergeant Reeves instead of Maya, when she needed to be strong instead of broken. The funeral home was small, traditional, American flags everywhere. Pictures of Emma lined the entrance. Baby pictures, school pictures, that last official military photo where she looked young and serious and so damn proud. Maya signed the guest book, her hand shook. She pressed harder, made the signature legible. Emma Chen's friend. Emma Chen's sergeant. Emma Chen's sister in arms. Inside, the room was full. More people than Maya expected. Teachers from Emma's high school, kids she'd tutored, neighbors, family friends, people whose lives she'd touched in 22 short years. The casket was closed, flag draped, honor guards standing at attention on either side. Maya found a seat near the back. Didn't want to intrude on family grief. Didn't want to take up space meant for people who'd known Emma longer, loved her deeper. But Mrs. Chen saw her, gestured for her to come forward, pointed to a seat in the second row, right behind the family. Maya moved, sat where she was told, felt the weight of eyes on her uniform, felt the responsibility of representation. She wasn't just Maya now. She was the military, the service, the embodiment of what Emma had chosen. The chaplain spoke, said comforting words about sacrifice and service and eternal rest, standard phrases that applied to every fallen soldier, generic comfort that meant everything and nothing. Then Mr. Chen stood, walked to the podium, gripped the edges until his knuckles went white. "My daughter," he began, then stopped, cleared his throat, started again. "My daughter loved this country, not because she was born here, she wasn't. Emma was born in Taiwan. We immigrated when she was 3. This country gave us opportunity, gave us hope. Emma wanted to give something back." His voice cracked, but he pushed forward. "She joined the military against my wishes. I wanted her to be safe, to go to college, to teach, yes, but from the safety of a classroom, not," he gestured helplessly toward the casket, "not this." Mrs. Chen reached up from her seat, touched his hand, grounding him. But Emma was stubborn. She said someone had to stand up, someone had to serve. Why not her? He paused, wiped his eyes. "I didn't understand then. I was angry, scared, but now I see. Emma died doing what she believed in. She saved lives, she made a difference, and I am." His voice broke completely. "I am so proud and so devastated, both things at once, forever." He sat down. Mrs. Chen held him as he wept. David stood next, younger, less practiced. He unfolded a paper with shaking hands. "My sister was my hero," he read. "She taught me how to ride a bike, how to stand up to bullies, how to be brave even when you're scared." He looked up from the paper. "She used to call me from base, tell me stories, not about the fighting, about the people, about Sergeant Reeves who could do more push-ups than anyone, about the translator who made the best chai, about the local kids who wanted pencils and candy." He glanced back at Maya. She nodded encouragement. "Emma made everything an adventure, even war, even dying." He stopped, breathed. "She wrote me a letter before she deployed, said to open it if something happened. I opened it yesterday." He pulled out another paper, Emma's handwriting. Maya recognized it even from a distance. David's voice shook as he read. "David, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't be sad. I did what I needed to do. I protected people. I stood up. I made a difference. That's all anyone can ask for. You do the same. Not in the military if you don't want, but in life. Stand up, speak out, help people, make me proud." He folded the letter, pressed it to his chest. "I will, Em, I promise." More people spoke, teachers, friends, each one adding layers to the picture of who Emma Chen had been. Not just a soldier, a person, a daughter, a sister, a friend. Then the chaplain gestured to Maya. "Sergeant Reeves has asked to say a few words." Maya stood. She hadn't planned this, hadn't prepared a speech, but she moved to the podium anyway because Emma deserved words from someone who'd been there, who'd known her in those final days. She looked out at the assembled faces, saw grief and pride and confusion all mixed together, saw David watching her with Emma's eyes, saw Mrs. Chen clutching a tissue, saw Mr. Chen sitting rigid with tears running down his face. "I met Emma on my second deployment," Maya began. "She was new, eager, asked 1,000 questions, wanted to learn everything immediately, drove me crazy." Soft laughter rippled through the room. "But she grew on me, on all of us. Because Emma didn't just want to be a good soldier. She wanted to be a good person, and in war that's harder than it sounds. Maya gripped the podium, felt the wood grain under her fingers. War makes you hard, makes you cynical, makes you forget why you're fighting. But Emma never forgot. She treated every mission like it mattered, every person like they were worth saving. She learned the names of local children, learned basic phrases in Pashto so she could talk to the villagers. She cared. In a place where caring could get you killed, she cared anyway. She paused, found her voice again. On our last patrol, Emma walked point, dangerous position. She volunteered for it because that's who she was. She saw the IED before anyone else, had maybe 2 seconds to make a choice. She could have frozen, could have run, could have saved herself. Maya met Mrs. Chen's eyes. She pushed us clear instead, gave her life so 6 of us could keep ours, and I know she'd say it was worth it, that it was the right choice. But God, I wish she hadn't had to make it. Her voice broke, she didn't try to hide it. Emma wanted to teach history, she would have been amazing at it, would have made kids love learning, would have inspired the next generation. She had so much life ahead of her, so much potential. Maya wiped her eyes, didn't care who saw. But she gave it all up for us, for strangers, for people she'd never meet. Because she believed that's what heroes do. They sacrifice, they serve, they give everything. She looked at the flag-draped casket. I'm honored to have known her, to have served with her, to have been saved by her. Emma Chen was the best of us, and I'll carry her memory every day for the rest of my life. Maya stepped down, sat back in her seat, felt Mrs. Chen's hand reach back, squeeze hers, held on tight. The ceremony continued. Prayers, songs, tributes, all the rituals humans created to make sense of death, to impose order on chaos, to find meaning in loss. Finally, they moved outside for the burial. The honor guard lifted the casket, carried it with synchronized steps to the grave site, set it down gently above the open earth. The chaplain said final words, dust to dust, ashes to ashes, return to the ground from which we came. Then the flag ceremony began. The honor guard lifted the flag from the casket, held it taut between them, began folding, each fold precise, practiced, perfect, triangle after triangle until the flag became a compact symbol of sacrifice. The staff sergeant Maya had met at the airport was there. He took the folded flag, marched to Mr. and Mrs. Chen, knelt before them. On behalf of the President of the United States Army, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service. He placed the flag in Mrs. Chen's hands. She clutched it to her chest and finally let herself break. Her sobs echoed across the cemetery, raw and ragged and real. The rifle team raised their weapons, 3 volleys, 7 rifles, 21 shots that cracked through the air like thunder. Then taps, a single trumpet playing the loneliest song ever written. Each note hung in the air, mournful and beautiful and absolutely devastating. Maya stood at attention, saluted, felt tears run down her face and didn't wipe them away. This was grief. This was honor. This was the cost of service rendered visible. When the final note faded, they lowered Emma into the ground. David threw in the first handful of dirt, then his parents, then others, each person adding their goodbye, their benediction, their final respect. Maya waited until last. When everyone else had gone, she approached the grave, looked down at the casket disappearing under earth and flowers and love. You saved me, she whispered. Again, not just from the blast, from becoming someone who didn't care. You reminded me why we do this, why it matters. She saluted one last time, held it until her arm ached. Rest easy, Private First Class Chen. Your watch is over, we've got it from here. She turned and walked away, left Emma to the ground and the sky and whatever came after. Behind her, groundskeepers began filling the grave. The sound of shovels biting earth followed her to the parking lot. The reception was at the Chen's house. Maya almost didn't go, almost drove straight back to her hotel, but Mrs. Chen had asked, had said, "Please, we'd like you there." And how do you say no to that? The house was full, people everywhere. Eating, talking, sharing stories, the wake after the funeral, the celebration of life, the attempt to remember joy instead of just loss. Maya stood in a corner, held a plate of food she couldn't eat, watched people laugh, saw David showing friends his sister's medals, saw Mr. Chen talking with other veterans, men who understood, saw Mrs. Chen moving through rooms like a ghost, smiling when people spoke to her, falling apart in quiet moments when she thought no one was watching. A woman approached Maya, older, maybe 60s, kind eyes. "You're Sergeant Reeves." "Yes, ma'am." "I'm Susan, Emma's 6th-grade teacher," she smiled. "She talked about you, sent me emails from base, said you were teaching her how to be strong." Maya shifted uncomfortably. She didn't need teaching, she was already strong. "Maybe, but she looked up to you, wanted to be like you." Susan touched Maya's arm. "That's a gift, you know, being someone's hero, someone's example." "I'm not a hero." "Emma thought you were, that's what matters." Susan moved away, left Maya standing there with words she didn't know how to process, with responsibility she didn't want. More people came, asked questions, thanked her for her service, said things that were meant to comfort but mostly just reminded her that Emma was gone. She was about to leave when David found her. "Can we talk?" he asked, "outside." They went to the backyard, sat on a bench under a cherry tree, not blooming yet, too early in the season, but Maya could imagine it in spring, pink blossoms everywhere, Emma's favorite. "I meant what I said," David started, "about joining up." Maya nodded, had expected this conversation. "Mom and Dad don't want me to, obviously, but I'm gonna be 18 next year. They can't stop me." "They can't," Maya agreed. "But you should think carefully. The military isn't like the movies. It's not glory and honor. It's hard. It's messy. It's watching people you love die and not being able to stop it." David looked at her. "Is that what happened with Emma?" Maya hesitated, then nodded. "Tell me, really tell me. Not the version you told my parents, the truth." So she did, told him about the patrol, about the heat and the dust and the constant vigilance, about Emma laughing at something stupid someone said, about the IED trigger partially visible in the road, about Emma's eyes going wide, her shout, the push, the explosion, the aftermath. "We tried," Maya said. "The medic worked on her, but the blast, it was too much damage. She held on for maybe 5 minutes, long enough to know we were with her, long enough to hear us say we loved her." David was crying, silent tears running down his face. Did she say anything? Maya thought about lying, about protecting him, but he'd asked for truth, deserved truth. She said, "Tell them I'm sorry," meant you, your parents, said she was sorry for leaving. David wiped his face. "She shouldn't have been sorry, she saved people." "I know, I told her that, told her she was a hero." She smiled, and then, Maya stopped. "Some details you kept." And then she was gone. They sat in silence. The cherry tree swayed in the breeze, bare branches clicking together. "I still want to join," David said finally. "Not to die like her, but to live like her. Does that make sense?" "Yeah," Maya said, "it does." "Will you help me? When the time comes, help me be ready." Maya wanted to say no, wanted to tell him to stay safe, go to college, live a normal life. But she understood the call, the pull towards service, the desire to be part of something bigger. "I'll help," she said, "but you train hard, you prepare, you go in with eyes open. Understand?" "Yes, ma'am." "And David," she looked at him, "if you do this, do it because you believe in something, not just because Emma did, not just to make her proud, but because you looked at the world and decided you wanted to make it better. Can you do that?" He thought about it, really thought, then nodded. I can. They went back inside. The reception was winding down, people leaving, hugging the Chens, offering final condolences. Maya found Mrs. Chen in the kitchen. She was washing dishes, hands moving automatically, finding purpose in the mundane. "Let me help," Maya said. "You don't have to." "I want to." They washed dishes together. Silent partnership. Soap and water and the rhythm of clean things becoming clean again. "Thank you," Mrs. Chen said finally, "for bringing her home, for being with her, she paused, for being her friend. She was easy to be friends with. I'm glad she had you at the end, glad she wasn't alone." Maya set down a plate, turned to face her. "She wasn't alone, not for a second, we were all there. And I promise you, Mrs. Chen, she knew she was loved." Mrs. Chen nodded, dried her hands, pulled Maya into another hug. "Call me Lin," she whispered. "And please stay in touch. Come visit, tell us stories, keep her alive for us." "I will," Maya promised. "I will." That night back in her hotel room, Maya finally called Colonel Parks. "How are you holding up?" Parks asked. "I don't know," Maya said honestly. "Some moments I'm okay, others I can't breathe. That's normal, that's grief. I don't know how to do this, how to keep going, how to go back." Parks was quiet for a moment, then, "You do it one day at a time, 1 hour, 1 minute, you show up, you do your job, and you honor her by living, by being the soldier she believed you were." "What if I can't?" "You can, I've seen you do harder things, and Reeves," Parks' voice softened. "It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to hurt, it's okay to grieve. Don't bury it, don't ignore it, feel it, process it. Let it make you better instead of bitter." Maya nodded even though Parks couldn't see her. "Yes, ma'am." "Take your 3 days, see the counselor. Then come home, we need you. Your unit needs you." After hanging up, Maya sat on the bed, opened her laptop, created a new document, started writing. Private First Class Emma Chen, 22 years old, daughter, sister, soldier, friend. She wrote for hours, every memory, every conversation, every moment she could remember, building a record, a testament, proof that Emma Chen had existed, had mattered, had made a difference. When she finished, it was nearly dawn. Maya saved the document, sent a copy to the Chens. This was their daughter. They deserved every memory Maya could give them. Then she packed her bag, called a car to the airport, started the journey back to base, back to her unit, back to the life that continued even when it felt like the world should stop. At the airport, a different agent checked her in. Older woman, gray hair, she looked at Maya's uniform. "Military." "Yes, ma'am." "Thank you for your service." Maya nodded, heard the words. They still didn't mean much, still felt automatic, but maybe that was okay. Maybe the sentiment mattered more than the phrasing. She boarded the plane, took her seat, buckled in. This time there was no box beside her, no flag-draped remains, just Maya and her memories and the weight of promises kept. The flight attendant came by. Different crew, different flight, but the same question. "Anything I can get you?" "I'm fine, thank you." The plane took off. Maya watched the ground fall away, watched the Chen city disappear below. Somewhere down there, Emma was in the ground, at rest, home. And Maya was heading back to war, back to the mission, back to the purpose that Emma had died for. She closed her eyes, thought about Emma's letter to David, about standing up, speaking out, making a difference. That's what Maya would do. She'd carry Emma's memory into every mission, every decision, every moment. She'd be the soldier Emma had believed she could be, the leader Emma had called her hero. It wasn't enough, would never be enough, but it was what she had, what she could control, what she could give. One day at a time, one mission, one soldier saved, one life protected. That was the work, the calling, the burden and the honor. Maya opened her eyes, looked out the window at clouds and sky. Somewhere beyond, the sun was rising. New day, new chances, new opportunities to make Emma proud. 6 months later, Maya was back in country. Different base, different unit, but the same mission, the same war that kept grinding on whether people paid attention or not. She'd been promoted, made staff sergeant, more responsibility, more soldiers under her command, more lives to protect. Some nights she dreamed about Emma, about the explosion, about different choices, different outcomes, scenarios where Emma survived, where they both went home, where Emma got to teach her history classes and Maya got to visit and they laughed about the war like it was something far away and finished. But those were just dreams. Reality was harsher, permanent, unchangeable. During morning briefings, Maya found herself channeling Emma, asking about the local population, making sure they had translators who could actually communicate, ensuring her team understood they were there to help, not just hunt. Hearts and minds, she'd say, phrase she'd heard 1,000 times, but now it meant something. Meant Emma learning Pashto, meant Emma giving pencils to kids, meant Emma believing that how you fought mattered as much as what you fought for. Her team noticed. A private fresh from training asked one day, "Staff Sergeant, why do you care so much about the civilians? They're not our mission." Maya looked at him, saw herself from years ago, young, certain, focused only on the tactical. "They're always the mission," she said. "We're not here to kill, we're here to protect. Sometimes protection means pulling a trigger. Sometimes it means building a well. Both matter." "But you know what the difference is between us and the enemy," Maya interrupted. "We care about innocent lives. We try to minimize damage. We see people as people, not just targets or obstacles. The day we stop caring is the day we become what we're fighting against." The private nodded, looked thoughtful. Maybe he got it, maybe not. But Maya had planted the seed, the way Emma had planted it in her. A week later, they were on patrol. Maya walked point, dangerous position. But she'd learned from Emma, lead from the front. Never ask your team to do what you won't do yourself. They were checking a village, reports of insurgent activity. But when they arrived, they found families, children, people just trying to survive. Maya's team wanted to search hard, kick in doors, assert dominance, standard tactics. "No," Maya said. "We ask, we explain, we show respect." She had the translator talk to the village elder, explain they were looking for weapons, for threats, ask permission to search. The elder agreed, led them through the village, showed them everything. No weapons, no insurgents, just people trying to live. As they were leaving, a little girl approached, maybe 7 years old. She held out a drawing, stick figures. One had a rifle, American flag on the shoulder. The girl said something in Pashto. The translator smiled. "She says thank you for being kind, for not scaring them." Maya knelt down, accepted the drawing. "Tell her she's welcome. Tell her we're here to help." The girl smiled, ran back to her mother. Maya folded the drawing carefully, put it in her pocket. Another memory, another moment, another reason to keep going. That night she wrote to the Chens. Monthly letters, updates, stories, keeping Emma alive through shared memory. "Dear Lynn and family asterisk. I thought of Emma today. We were in a village and I remembered how she always took time with the children, how she made them feel safe instead of scared. I tried to do the same. I think she'd be proud. David, I heard you enlisted. Your mom sent me the news. I'm proud of you, scared for you, but mostly proud. Remember what we talked about, train hard, stay smart, come home. I'm doing okay. Some days are harder than others, but I'm trying to honor Emma, to be the soldier she believed I could be. It's the least I can do. Stay strong, take care of each other. I'll write again soon." Meyer asterisk. She sent the letter, then pulled out the drawing from the little girl, pinned it to the wall of her quarters, next to a photo of Emma, next to her own reminder of why she served. A knock on the door, one of her soldiers, young corporal, nervous. "Staff Sergeant, can I talk to you?" "Come in." The corporal entered, sat down, fidgeted with his hands. "I'm struggling," he said. "This deployment, it's harder than I expected. I keep thinking, what if I don't make it home? What if something happens?" Maya looked at him, saw herself after Emma died, saw the fear, the doubt, the weight of mortality suddenly real. "You might not," she said honestly. "That's the truth no one wants to say. We might not make it, any of us, any day." The corporal paled. "But," Maya continued, "you can't live in that fear, can't let it paralyze you. You do your job, you train, you prepare, and you trust your team. Trust that if something happens, someone will have your back, will bring you home, will remember you." "How do you deal with it, the fear?" Maya thought about Emma, about the promise, about the box she'd carried through airports. "I think about why I'm here, what I'm protecting, who I'm serving with, and I decide that the mission matters more than the fear, that the people around me matter more than my safety. That's not bravery, that's just making a choice, every day to show up, to do the work, to trust that it means something." The corporal nodded slowly. "Did you ever lose anyone, someone close?" "Yes." "How did you keep going?" Maya looked at Emma's photo. "I carry them with me, not in a sad way but as a reminder. They believed in this, believed in us, believed the mission mattered, so I keep going for them, for the people counting on me, for the soldiers I'm responsible for. I keep going because stopping dishonors their sacrifice." "That makes sense." "It doesn't always," Maya admitted. "Some days I still don't know why I'm here, why I keep doing this. But then I think about the little girl who gave me a drawing today, about the families we protected, about the lives we saved. And I remember, purpose isn't always clear, but it's always there if you look for it." The corporal stood. "Thank you, Staff Sergeant." "Any time, and Corporal, you're going to be fine, you're going to make it home, and you're going to have stories to tell, make sure they're good ones." After he left, Maya sat alone, looked at Emma's photo, at the drawing from the little girl, at the purple heart on her desk that she'd been awarded for the IED attack, medal she didn't want, recognition she didn't feel she deserved. "I'm still here," she whispered to Emma's photo. "Still fighting, still trying. I hope that's enough. I hope I'm making you proud." The photo didn't answer. Of course it didn't, but Maya felt something settle in her chest, a quiet certainty, a sense of purpose that had been fractured but was slowly rebuilding. She was still here, still serving, still lighting, still trying to be the soldier Emma had believed she could be. That was the promise, the real one, not just bringing Emma home, but carrying her forward, living in a way that honored her sacrifice. One day at a time, one mission, one soldier protected, one village helped, one life saved. That was the work, the calling, the weight and the honor. Maya stood, straightened her uniform, checked her gear. Tomorrow there'd be another patrol, another mission, another day of trying to make a difference in a war that seemed endless. But tonight she had this moment, this quiet reflection, this space to remember and grieve and honor and hope. She turned off the light, left Emma's photo in the darkness, knowing it would still be there in the morning, still be there to remind her, to anchor her, to call her forward. Sometimes dignity doesn't speak, it simply acts. Emma had acted, had given everything, had saved lives through sacrifice. Now it was Maya's turn to act, to serve, to honor that sacrifice by living fully, by leading well, by protecting others the way Emma had protected her. That was the promise, the real one, the one that mattered. And Maya intended to keep it, every day, for the rest of her life. Not because it was easy, but because it was right, because Emma deserved that, because the soldiers counting on her deserved that, because the mission deserved that. She lay down, closed her eyes, felt the weight of responsibility settle over her like a blanket. And tomorrow she'd wake up and carry it again. One more day, one more mission, one more promise kept. That was enough, that had to be enough. And somehow, in the quiet darkness, it was.